everybody, welcome back to the channel. On the bench is my Frankenmauser. I call it the Frankenmauser because, well, you'll learn how, why. A gun shop that I frequent, it's one of my happy places, has a few K98 barrels in the back. They bought out a collection years ago and sold it off, and all they have left are the barrels from K98 Mausers. I looked at those and I thought, you know what, that would be a fun project. So I did some searching on the web. Oh, hold on a minute. These barrels. Now this one is completely stripped, all the sights are off of it and everything, but these barrels here are what I'm talking about. So anyway, I did some searching on the web looking for a receiver to go with that barrel, and I did not find a K98 receiver. Apparently those are unobtainium. I can't talk. And what I did find was a 1908 Brazilian receiver. And it's a large ring Mauser, and just for giggles I thought, you know what, let's see if it works. So I took the receiver and this barrel to a speed shop, a motor engine shop, and I had them magnafluxed. It's the best $40 I've ever spent. Every time I get an old gun that's in pieces, parts, I have the action in the barrel magnaflux, check for cracks, because I like my face in one piece. Anyway, it passed. Outstanding. They threaded together. The nice thing about these barrels, oh, let me get that one back. There's no extractor cut in them. I'm hoping that's in frame. I believe it's in frame. There's no extractor cut, which means that there's no indexing on this. Which means that you run it in until it's tight. You check your headspace, and if the headspace checks out, you set your sights, solder them in place, you're good to go. Got to check your headspace though. Now, on this one, I lucked out, and yes, I know this is not the correct way to check headspace. You're supposed to take the extractor off. But for the video, this is how we're going to do this. This is a 8mm Mauser field gauge. And that's, if it doesn't close on a field gauge, you're good to go. I know, it's a field gauge, yeah. But what I did is I took it out to the range, fired one round, inspected the case. Headspace is awesome. The headspace on this is awesome. But what I did find with that is that I'm shooting 2 feet low, a full 24 inches low. That's no good. Oh, and I should say that I put this barreled action in a Brazilian 1908/34, I believe it's 34, carbine stock, K98 handguard, and I cut down the Brazilian handguard to fit. I like it. I like how it came out. But getting back to my my error in aiming, 24 inches low. Okay, we're going to set this over here. And and we'll bring in the paper. Hey, you know what? I'm going to switch camera position, and then we'll continue. So here's how I corrected that 24-inch low shot. And I have quite a few books. This is Hatcher's Notebook. And I found a formula in here. Julian S. Hatcher, Major General, U.S. Army, retired. I found a formula that you take your error and you divide it by your distance, and then you multiply it by your sight radius, and that gives you your adjustment to your sights. Now, you want to keep these numbers in the same increments. My margin of error was 24 inches. You divide that 100 yards, that's 3,600 inches. You take that times the sight radius. On this particular rifle, the sight radius is 29 3/4 inches, or 29.75 inches. And that'll give me my adjustment. So let's do the math. I've got a Construction Master calculator because that's what I do in my real job. So we'll take, we'll take 24 inches divided by 3,600 inches, and that gives me 0.06667. You take that times 29.75. Or 29 3/4. 3/16. 3/16 of an inch. Just over an eighth. Now, how you make this adjustment is entirely up to you. And you got to remember too, when adjusting sights, and I did a video on this, when you adjust open sights, iron sights on a rifle, you might adjust the sights, but you're not moving the sight picture. You're moving the rifle. Let's say this is your rear sight. Here's the gun. And let's say this is your front sight. Right here. 3/16. Now if I'm shooting 3/16 low, I either need to shorten the front sight or raise the rear sight. And that's actually what I did initially. I took the rear sight of this rifle. Hang on a minute. Making a hell of a mess. This is what I do for you guys, man. We're gonna move this over here so that we can see the rear sights on this rifle. Okay, it's kind of dark. I'm going to light this up a little bit. Now, These are incremented in meters. You got 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters. And what I had to do to compensate for that error is I was having to move this sight to 400 meters. Oh, that one's 300. My bad. Hold on. There we go. 400 meters. And underneath here is just about 3/16 of an inch. So my math works out. When I got this barrel, it came with the sights, and it had up front this front sight, and it's a monster. Let's turn that so you guys can see it. It's a monster. This thing is, well, I guess I can't call it a monster, but it's pretty tall. This sight is right at oh, for crying out loud. You guys read that? 0.2385. We'll convert that 15/64. 15/64 is just under a quarter of an inch tall. Now, I had to move this 3/16. So I could shorten this by 3/16 and only have a 1/16 of an inch front sight, or I could do a combination of things to make it work. And I ended up doing a combination of things to make it work. But that's neither here nor there how I did it. What you guys need to take away from this is the formula that I used to adjust the sights. This formula here. Error divided by distance times sight radius. That gives you your adjustment. 3/16 of an inch. You're not moving your sight picture. You're moving the rifle under your sight picture. You've got to get that through your head. And sometimes that can be very hard to wrap your head around. It's not an easy concept. It's almost counterintuitive, because what you're actually adjusting the sights, but you're moving the rifle. Yeah. Long story short, this rifle, for being something I threw together just for giggles, it's not a bad shooter now. It was, but it's not a bad shooter. And what I ended up doing is I dug through my junk and I found a, believe it or not, a Swedish Mauser front sight. I did a little bit of file work on it and I shortened it. I had to do some file work to get it to fit into the dovetail, but I made this short enough, and I adjusted the rear sight a little bit so that it sits a little higher at 100 yards, and I can get, I don't know, they're not match grade, or it's not a precision rifle, but I get 1.5-inch, 2-inch groups at 100 yards. And you got to remember, this is all just for fun. This isn't, I'm not going to enter matches with this rifle. It's just something that I toy with. But that's all for now. You guys need to remember this formula. And I believe this thing works for optics as well. Error divided by distance times your sight radius. That gives you your adjustment that you have to make to your sights. That's it, folks. You guys take care. Have fun. Stay safe. I'll see you later.